The rapid spread of fake news among youths has become a significant concern in digital age. Young people who are highly engaged with social media platforms and digital content are often both consumers and distributors of misinformation. Their motivation from interacting with sharing fake news ranging from curiosity and the desire for social media validation to a possible lack of media literacy and critical thinking skills due to status and social strata. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us on another interesting episode of Youth Connect on Trust TV. I'm Fatima Miss Musa. Joining me in the studio is Ibrahim Muklerubi. He is a realtor and an accountant. Thank you so much for joining us, Ibrahim. And we have Teniola Balogun. She's a sports writer. Thank you so much, Teni, for joining us. And then we have Alexander Josiah Yergawa. He's an architect. Thank you so much for joining us. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, the discussion will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us on Youth Connect again. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Ibrahim, how much time do you spend on social media? Let's start with that.
Basically, most young people spend most of their time on social media, so there's no time frame for at which people spend on social media.
All right, so it means you don't really spend much time that way, or you spend more of your time there.
Yeah, more of the time.
All right. How about you, Teniola? Do you have a specific time that you go on social media? Like, okay, now I need to rest.
Absolutely. For me as a writer, I need to use all of my media platforms and everything to check for stories, corroborate, and there. So I would say I spend most of my time on social media working, amongst other things.
How about you, Yergawa? You're an architect.
Yeah, I spend a decent amount of time on social media because, like, for me, I tend to get my information from social media, especially platforms like Twitter, for instance, where you have like first-hand information. So for that day, just to get in tune with what's happening around, I just get to social media like in the morning. So I spend a definite amount of time.
So most of your time is in the morning?
Yeah, in the morning.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. So what are the informations or the kind of news that you get to see on social media?
Well, we get to see all sorts of news. Depends on your interest and which site you decide to visit. Because nowadays, whatever you look for is there on social media, it's there on the net. So basically, all the information you need is absolutely there, out there on the net. So just for you to just surf there and get whatever you need.
Okay, Teniola, as a sports writer, like you said, you spend most of your time on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But have you come across anything that seems like a fake news and you maybe took it sometime and you realized that it's actually a fake news?
Absolutely. There's so many, especially when it comes to sports, fake transfer news, attitude of players, for example, the Victor Osimhen saga. So you're always seeing people with parody accounts. Somebody will come and say it's Fabrizio, maybe Romero, or something instead of Fabrizio Romano. So yeah, I come across lots of fake news on social media. You just have to be careful and try to see
what you select and what you take from it.
Exactly.
Do you have concerns, Yergawa, when it comes to the kind of fake news that we see on the internet these days?
Yeah, I do have a lot of concerns about that because, firstly, I have concern in the area of what has to deal with politics, for instance. So, information that has a tendency to destabilize our unity as people, and the points that youth don't really go an extra mile to get the information is really right, and then they share it, and that's one of my concerns I have, because sometimes you share information to people that maybe are volatile towards this news. You share it before they evaluate and process this news. It had gotten to another degree, so that's my major concern with fake news. Yeah.
Okay, Ibrahim, how do you personally verify some information that you get to see on the internet, and has it affected you in any way?
Yeah, actually it has. Okay, let me give an example. During that COVID period, some news came out, was going on that you should bathe with warm water and
salt. Yeah.
So first people that got that information didn't bother to verify the authenticity of the information. They just started spreading it, so it went viral, and in the process, some lives were lost. So, like, for me, I know some verified sites that I could go and
fact check.
Yeah, fact check the news I come across on the net.
So you have specific sites that you believe in, and you believe their stories are real.
Yeah, especially when it comes to football, So there are
I
specific
mean,
sites.
you have a sport writer just right next to you, so
Actually.
that makes it easy.
Yeah.
How about you, Teniola? You know, because it's very important to verify, you know, the information that you see out there before spreading it. So, how did you manage the story of the Victor Osimhen that you just talked about?
So first, I think it came out that he was demanding a lot of money. But then I was like, doesn't really sound like him. Then it sounded like Napoli were trying to push him out by any means possible. And, you know, people just started bringing up different stories, including Nigerians. So what I did was I tried not to get involved in any of that. Usually I would like to write something on it, but I mean, there were like so many contrasting news. So I just like to sit back, watch how everything unfolds, you understand? And especially when big names start to talk about it. So for example, recently,
like social media influencers.
Exactly. Recently, Mikel Obi spoke on the issue, and he said he denounced that Victor Osimhen never asked for such amount of money. So I think that brought a little bit of calm to the whole situation. So
I mean, he's a footballer. Who could ever think that he would ask for, you know, such amount of
Exactly,
money?
and he wants to play. And he seems like a decent footballer anyway.
All right. So, what do you think? You know, fake news. Why do you think fake news spread faster than, you know, any good news out there?
Okay. I think most times, compared to other dispensations, for instance, like generations ago or years ago, where the world was a bit decentralized in a way, unlike now we have centralized platforms, right? And the fact that these things are trendy and they are moved by influencers, it is easier for it to travel faster because, of course, they say like no good thing is actually news because, like, we tend to be trendy people. And then when we hear information and the fact that we have the internet, the power of the internet is that an information in the United States now can get to you in the next 5 minutes. So before that amount of time, before we had things like newspapers, we had other means of communication that would take a longer time. So at least before it gets to you, for instance, you'd maybe fact check or so. But right now we don't have that access to time to verify news. So I feel that the reason why fake news travel faster, of course, is because it's negative first. Like it compels people to share compared to good news. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any story you've seen that maybe deep within you know is fake, but then you still believed it because maybe the person that posted it, you kind of somehow believe what they put out there?
Yes, actually, like some time ago, some of my guys like wanted to make a prank that one of them came out and posted that the other guy was dead. So based on, because you already knew that those guys are always together, so to be hard for you to like debunk the information because you feel like no, since it's this guy that posted this, it can actually be true. But then after some time, the truth will eventually come out, and it was just a prank, but that was an expensive joke.
Yeah, I mean, we have some social media, you know, comments and posts that has actually caused this kind of stir that you just talked about. Like there's a story on Tinubu that they said something about the senior executives are all from the southwest. So let's take a look at the comments and see what people put out there. From southwest region, and this is a claim by an ex-user who posted on the platform of X, and he said all the senior executive appointments under this administration have gone to the southwest. We are left with SAs. Now we have some comments under that, even though we have a body that debunks fake news, which is the Dubawa. They said this claim that all the senior executive appointments under official Labat-led administration are from the southwest is misleading. Media reports shows the appointees were selected from all geopolitical zones in Nigeria. So now you can see that that's a fake news, right? And then we have some comments from different people. This is coming from Ibere. He said, recently you said Tinubu should be given as much time as Buhari before being judged. Seems APC gave you fake SMS alert. Also, by we're left with essays, you are probably referring to the North or whatever such terms means to a moral bankrupt and irredeemable soul that is routinely fixated on bigotry. I mean, this is a lot, right? What do you think? Like, this has actually gone far. It's been 100 and something thousand views on this particular post, even though there are people that came out to debunk. But what do you think about it? Do you think this would have caused a lot of trouble?
Yes, actually, because it was stating that all the tinubu's ministers are from the southwest. So it's just trying to say that it's from one geopolitical zone.
That is selected.
Yeah, that was selected. So now, assuming this was not debunked or in fact checked, other people from other geopolitical zone will now take it personal, like, yeah, it's true, because he only selected those people from his side and he's been biased. Should you get? So that's what's causing some political issues nowadays.
I mean, because they even mentioned Buhari. But what do you think, the fact that there's a body that debunked it, do you still people are still, because, like we said, there are people that will always be for and against. There are still people that believe that the story is still real. So what do you think can be done to actually, change their mindset when it comes to fake news?
When it comes to fake news, I think it's all about perspective. As you said, there would always be people that are for and against it, and I think little can be done to change that. Some people can see the truth glaring right in front of them and they still would not accept it. For example, for something like this, you have something, what do they call it? Is it echo room or echo chambers? Whenever something is within your belief, for example, now this news, there are some Nigerians that are not in favor of this government, especially with the economic issues we've been facing lately. So I think any news regarding the president, any negative news, they would want to take it up and follow it up and just see to it, as in, just a way to let out their anger. You would find them retweeting it and telling people about it. So there's no way, even with the Bauer facts debunking it, it still wouldn't change their mind, and that's the truth.
So how about you, Yargawa? What do you feel about this? Because, you mentioned earlier that especially when it comes to political fake news.
I want to address something differently about that post I saw. Because, like, when you have fake news, it's the intent you must address. The intent for why the person is posting out that news is that the intent is to maybe divide people over, maybe across maybe ethnical lines or across maybe religious lines. So the intent of that person should be investigated now, for instance. So they post that thing to divide the notion of people, because if you had gone, he said I think all or something, and which is not
all.
True, obviously. It's
he
not
generalized it, yeah.
It's not as generalized as it seems, but he sent it to an audience that probably is very gullible to this thing, and then the person has influence over a lot of people. So the intent is to cause that division from people. So it's the intent that is my major thing there, that you must see that you have influence over the minds of people. Like she said, to change things, sometimes you don't have the luxury to go and meet every single person in that audience to change it. But the best thing is to have other people that influence us too, that would debunk that kind of information.
Yeah, I mean, because he has a huge followers on TikTok.
So
on
facts,
X.
of course, you can't argue with facts, you can't argue with figures. So when you bring out the facts and reference it to that thing he said, for instance, it will go a long way to debunk the news. Yeah.
All right, Ibrahim, why do you think people are actually drawn to fake news? Like, we mentioned earlier that it goes faster than any good news out there. So why do you think people are actually drawn to fake news?
Well, it is way easier to believe. Let me start with that. But let's say when someone sees any news online, you'll be like, I want to be the first person to post this. Or let it be like, it's from so person's page that this information was gotten. So fake news travels faster that way, because people tend to believe whatever they see on the net, on the internet nowadays. They don't even bother to fact check it or anything. They just go with whatever it is, because they might think, okay, this is the person that posted this, so there's no way that this could be false or anything. Without even trying to verify it, they will just go with it.
Yeah. All right, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this discussion. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us on Youth Connect again. All right, before we went on the break, Ibrahim was saying something about people being drawn to misinformation. So how can young people improve their media literacy to avoid spreading misinformation regarding certain issues that affect the society?
I think one would be fact checking. For me, whenever I see any news, whether fake, real, I always try to check other media outlets to see if that same news
is being posted.
Exactly. So I would know whether or not. And I think, critical thinking is also important. When you see some news, you should be able to tell that, is this real? Is this not real? Do you understand? And it's just all about weighing the possibility of it. I think that way you should be able to tell if there's like some amount of truth in this, or it's mostly just false. And I also think, I don't know, I think there should be some sort of regulatory bodies in charge of things, like, especially when it comes to politics, as he has said, and health too. I just think there should be some sort of social media.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a body that is regulating, because there are regulations on social media, certain things that you can post and what you cannot post. I think there is that for some, right? But what do you think peer validation, when it comes to young people posting some information out there, actually gives them the belief that, okay, it's worthy, whether it's fake or true, they don't care, because they have this validation from their peers, liking, commenting, and what have you, and also sharing?
Yeah, sure. Like, there are certain people have different reasons, varied reasons for why they post. There are people that are just there for cloud chasing, and they see that it has a further reach compared to maybe valid news, and then they use that as maybe a ladder to get to, maybe they want a large following. You see them on social media. There are people that, of course, have had large followership online because of wrong information. They've had, maybe based on just pranking other people. They've built an audience out of that. So when a news comes out, that is like a bigger launch pad for whatever kind of engagement they're trying to farm online. So of course, like, it's also a tendency for people to use fake news as a tool to get people on board.
I mean, when you talked about cloud chasing, it's actually true, because you see people posting something even when they don't have followers, but because they feel, oh, this story someone posted, they start following, and before you know, they build the person's page. So let's take a look at another story that was posted on EFCC's account being hacked, and this is coming from Dr. Dabo. He just said Yahoo boys changed the EFCC logo from eagle to chicken few hours after they hacked their account. Now, this is being, viewed by 764,000 people. Now, that's a serious one. Then Dubawa still went to fact check the story, and they said it is also a fake news, that is misleading and manipulating. And then we have some comments, under this particular post, that people are saying, how did you know that it's a Yahoo boy? Now, that's people, he has followers, but then people are actually saying, how did he know? He said, even if such a thing happened, the word will be hackers. So some people are correcting him. And then the EFCC also debunked the same story, that their account has not been hacked. And then we have other comments, people saying, some of us here are talking as if you support Yahoo boys over EFCC and you want a new Nigeria. I guess only your Messiah can make you love Nigeria. Now, these are people also saying that if we go out there posting this kind of story, and you want a better Nigeria, you can't have that. Who made you a doctor? Yahoo boys and hacking in the same sentence. Now, people are also questioning him on that. How did you know it's a Yahoo boy, or you're just being stupid? So now, even though he has people actually believing that maybe it's true, because there are some funny ones. Some of us here talking as if, you support Yahoo boys over EFCC. There are a lot of other comments that people are, laughing at him and supporting what he said. But these are comments that people are saying that, how did he know, going against him amongst his viewers. So what's your take on this? Because this is a serious issue.
Yeah, even I myself, to some extent, I almost believe the news that Yahoo boys actually hacked the
EFCC account. Yeah.
But then, because maybe, okay, let's put it this way, when the news came out, EFCC didn't come out immediately to debunk the information. So that little time that the information has gotten, it has gone way beyond the human imagination. Because like I said, at some point I believed the information was true. But then after they debunked the information and all, I was like, okay, like some people don't usually check facts, all the news and information they see online. So that's what is causing the issues nowadays.
I mean, you just made mention of your friend that they wanted to prank, and people could actually believe, especially people that know that. But Yargawa, do you think fake news affect public opinions, or even political views? And because you actually are more interested in that aspect,
so it does, because the thing is, the world is really advancing very fast and technologically. So in the advent of things like deepfake, you have artificial intelligence softwares where they can generate posts, they can generate images and even videos of someone that would like copy and paste exactly what the person can do, right? So you have those kind of technology available, and you have people that have they have nefarious reasons behind their actions online, right? So, and if you don't have a means of fact checking your information, the things you read online, the things you take in, that means, of course, there are also people that are not aware of these things existing. And like I always say that there are some social media platforms that are more inclined towards a certain demographic. Like let's say Facebook, for instance, is more of an older generation, and most times it's been fed by other social media platforms. So before they ever have the time to proofread this information, I've seen people watch things like even football online, and it's actually a video game playing, but they don't even know the difference. There are people that would see an AI-generated image of someone,
and they believe it's talking about something.
They believe it. So imagine how far it will go, and then when these people are having these tendencies towards being volatile, it becomes a very big issue, becomes even a national issue if you are not careful. So there are things that people would say, there are even deep fakes that could even mimic your voice, mimic a leader's voice and say something. So how do we manage that? For instance,
how do we differentiate the real and the fake? So I mean, when we have this kind of situation, you just mentioned the AI, which is actually a very important point for when it comes to this particular topic that we're talking about. So what do you think schools can do, to teach the young people out there to recognize and combat, fake news? Because it's very important. It starts with them, right? So how do you think schools can actually send these informations to the young people that they are actually teaching?
Well, I think media literacy. I think schools should teach these people coming up, the young ones, to always make sure to, you can teach fact checking from small. I think if it's something that they grow up with, they get used to it. So that way, for example, from the social media post when the guy said Yahoo boys, and that would have someone thinking, why did you say Yahoo boys?
I mean, that's
hackers?
Why someone asked, why? So, how did you know?
So when you're able to pinpoint these things with critical thinking, fact checking, you should be able to tell this is a fake news and not the real news. And so I think schools can teach. They can teach students to fact check, teach them on media literacy, and also tell them to, teach them how to think critically. That's very important. I think once they're able to do these things, then they should be able to tell what's fake and what's real, because that's even the most important thing, being able to tell what's fake and what's real.
Okay, Brian, what steps do you think, like Yargawa said, social media platforms can take in, reducing the kind of misinformations that are put on their platforms?
Well,
should there be a sanction, for example?
Yeah, for a start, there should be, how would I put it? They should be able to filter the information that people put out there. For example, like some social medias that when you're not allowed to post nudes and all those stuff.
I mean, all social media.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if something like that can go a long way for helping to checkmate the spread of fake news. We have to be sure that you have to show that this is an authentic news before you put it out there, and after you do that, you'll be sanctioned for posting a fake news or something like that. So I think that will go a long way.
What kind of sanctions do you think should be given to people who post fake news on social media? I mean, there should be something that will make other people to be scared of spreading.
Like
remember the incident with the former president's wife, that she arrested the young guy that said something. I don't know if you remember.
Okay, yeah,
back then.
Yeah. So I am not really an advocate of really putting so much sanctions like that to limit people's freedom to express their opinions, right? So, but of course, whoever is being a target of or fake news most times, or like whatever propaganda, you have the right to, of course, sue the person or whoever disseminated that information at that point. You have that right as an indigene. And also, of course, like there's really not much you can do while information is spread out. Everybody has their own responsibility to take over what information comes into their minds. Of course, when it comes to an information where it risks our national unity, for instance, and peace, and of course tranquility of the nation, of course that goes to another different level entirely. Of course, like when it has to do with like instigating religious crises, maybe things like maybe ethnic crisis. Of course, at that stage, I believe that the government has the right to put down measures.
I mean, just like the other post from the tinubu's senior executives that they said were selected, that can actually stir some,
Of course, it has that tendency. So, of course, the government would bring that person to questioning first, but not really a very
serious
sanction. I'm not really the fan of that.
I don't know why Yarkawa is against it, but I think we should, when someone is being used as a scapegoat, that would actually go a long way. But then thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Youth Connect. Thank you so much, Ibrahim, for joining.
Thank you for
And Teniola, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. And this is where we'll come to the end of this episode. Do join us again next week for another interesting episode on Youth Connect. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Do have a lovely day.